Listeners, readers, welcome to this Fox page recommendation, where I will convince you whether you should or maybe should not dive into a given text. So, today we're talking about Anna Burns' incredible novel, Milkman. I'm going to say, those of you who have heard about my ongoing obsession with Irish literature, this is really the book that began it all. It's a book that was so incredibly moving and so just really poignant and deep. I've now read it 3 times. I will tell you, it is not a short book. For the first time in many of these recommendations, I'm going to say that this is not a book for everyone. First of all, it's pretty long. I'm checking out here. It is 350 pages, 348. And not only that, but it is tiny little, it's tiny font. I don't know if you're on the YouTube channel, you can see that the font is tiny and it's very dense. I mean, this page I happen to have turned to, it just has like one big paragraph. So it's not an easy read in terms of length and in terms of density. It doesn't sound like I'm making a really great, argument for you reading this book, but I will say that it is funny and interesting and real, and it feels very serious and very important and really flattering to the reader in the sense that Anna Burns is incredibly skilled and she really trusts you to understand when she's doing some kind of high-flying literary stuff. It doesn't feel exactly experimental, but there is a uniqueness to the prose that I find just breathtaking. You will get a sense in this very first sentence of some of the sort of approaches that Anna Burns has that make the book feel unique. One of them is that no one in the book has a name. That's not true. There are a few people who have names. Most people have these kind of generic names, and you will find out if you read the book and you're paying attention and or you listen to my talk about it. It's very important that these people do not have names for many different reasons. Also, you'll get a sense of the fact that this novel takes place during the Troubles, so in kind of the heart of the Troubles, and it is taking place in Northern Ireland in a town that is it's fictitious, but it's very much like the town that, the part of Belfast that Anna Burns grew up in. So you get a sense of the tension of the time, and you certainly get a sense of the violence right from the jump. Okay, here's the first sentence. The day somebody McSomebody put a gun to my breast and called me a cat and threatened to shoot me was the same day that Milkman died. He had been shot by one of the state hit squads. I did not care about that shooting of that man. Others did care, though, and some were those who, in the parlance, knew me to see but not to speak to. And I was being talked about because there was a rumor started by them, or more likely by first brother-in-law, that I had been having an affair with the milkman and that I was 18 and he was 41. You guys, you know what's happening to me right now? I read that first sentence, like literally I got halfway through that very first phrase and I was like, oh, I have to read this again. I got to read this book again. It's so good. And that may also be because I already know what is to come. I mean, this book is, wow, there is a lot going on here. So I've talked about some of the difficult things about the book. It is very dark and it is very violent, but it's also incredibly funny. And it's a kind of black humor that, I don't know that everyone appreciates, but it is so good and it is so well done and so much in keeping and organic. But I really think that levity, that very intelligent levity, is crucial, or else honestly, the whole thing would just be such a bummer. So one of the things that our heroine does is she takes these French classes in a different part of town. This is a little excerpt of the French class, and this is the kind of humor, again, it's very subtle and it's very dark in some ways, but I love this aspect of the novel. This evening, as usual, English had taken over, which meant, also as usual, French was out the window. Next, she had us looking out this window. She had stridden over to it, a straight-backed woman on a majestic, caparisoned horse, and had begun pointing through it with her pen. She was tapping on the glass in order to inhale this sky. After inhaling it, which was embarrassing, she exhaled it with a giant ah, more embarrassing. Then she went back to pointing and tapping. Tell me, class, she said, what colors What colors? Do you hear that? Colors, plural. What colors do you see now? So I am not going to dive too deeply into why it is important that this French teacher be trying to convince her class that the sky is more than just blue. But this is not only a great example of the kind of like remarkable, clear, unique scene and funny scene that you are offered, but also the depth, because there was a lot happening there. I mean, I could pick apart that one little passage, and we would have an entire novel's worth of conflict and pathos and tragedy and just an enormous statement about Northern Ireland as a community. This book is I love it so much that I somehow have ended up with 3 copies. I think I keep going to different bookstores and then worrying that I either don't have my copy or I've lent it to someone. So also, look how beautiful. I have a whole thing in the lecture about the cover. One of the interviews I read said that the cover was not doing any favors for this book, but I love it. And in fact, I think I make a pretty good argument why this cover is in fact not only very appropriate, but really very additive when it comes to the experience of reading the novel. So, Milkman is not for everyone. But if you've gotten this far, then maybe it is for you. And if it is for you, then you should check out the lecture to make sure that you're really getting the most out of every minute of your reading. Okay, thank you for listening, and happy reading.